They're this. These winter days are just a little bit different than they have been in years past. Normally, it's just spending a lot of extra time around the fire. We were so blessed to have a wood stove in our last house, and our first house we had a wood furnace. So for me, sitting next to a cozy fire during winter is part of the deal and part of it that makes it redeemable. Hot baths are a close substitute, and I am still enjoying those. But while we build our new house, we are living in a house in town, and we do not have a wood stove here. So we are looking very much forward to next winter. Even though this winter is different because there's a lot of back and forth between what will be our farmhouse and this temporary house, we are still spending a lot of time in the kitchen, making new recipes, experimenting. It's something that we truly enjoy. And when I say we, I mostly mean me and my second oldest daughter. We are the ones who just love to cook and to bake. So for lunch today, I'm going to make a simple ground beef recipe, but I'm going to also tell you a bit about what my daughter is doing. So she has been really into trying to get great at making croissants and pastry doughs. Laminated dough, which, if you're not familiar, basically means that you take a slab of butter, for lack of a better word, wrap dough around it, fold it, and then repeat, creating flaky layers. This lamination is how croissants are made, and I even have a recipe over on farmhousehomeboon.com for making a sourdough version, which she has also gotten very good at. Today, we want to try our hands at freshly milled whole grain croissants. We are experimenting for our own family and for all of you. Can this be done? Will it be delicious? We feel like we have nothing to lose in trying that out. She threw the dough together this morning. Now we're going to let it rest in the fridge while we have lunch. This is homemade hamburger helper. It's such a simple meal and definitely a crowd pleaser for kids. We are using venison, and I had to, of course, double the recipe, but this will be a very easy, enjoyable lunch. I included it in a new blog post on farmhousehomeboon.com. Over 15 recipes you can make with ground beef for an easy lunch. I'll link it below. In my kitchen and in my home, I try to cook from scratch as much as possible so that we have nutrient-dense food to fuel our bodies. But even still, 95% of women are deficient in at least one key nutrient. That's why I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Needed. My baby is now 4 months old, but during my pregnancy, I nourished myself to fill in all the gaps and make sure I wasn't deficient in any of those key nutrients with my prenatals from Needed. But now, in my postpartum season, it's just as important as ever to continue to nourish my body as I am still completely nourishing her. Most vitamins include bare minimum nutrition, the wrong doses or ingredients, and excess sugar or fillers. Nutrition has the power to change outcomes for mothers and babies, not just birth outcomes, but fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and lifelong health thereafter. Needed spent over 3 years developing their nutritional system with practitioners who test women's nutrient and hormone levels at every stage. Needed doses nutrients beyond the bare minimums, designed to maximize nutrient absorption, and is recommended and used by more than 15,000 women's health experts, from nutritionists to midwives, OBGYNs, functional medicine doctors, and is always third-party tested. Needed's prenatal multi is available in capsules and an easy-to-take vanilla powder that's perfect for nauseous moms or those with pill fatigue. Prenatal multi capsules and multi powder have 26 nutrients and optimal forms and dosages that mothers and babies need to thrive. There is so much on the journey to motherhood that you can't control, but nutrition is one that you can. Now, Needed is offering 25% off subscriptions for new and existing customers, which is auto-applied at checkout when you click my link in the description box below. Not ready to commit? Get 20% off a one-time purchase when you use my code FarmhouseHomeboon. My daughter thought we could do sourdough and whole grain, and although I am confident we would make something at least edible, I thought we should introduce one variable at a time. So this is a basic yeast croissant dough, except for it is 100% whole grain, just subbing 1-for-1 hard white wheat berries. I like to measure them ahead of time in my scale, put them through the mill so that I have the perfect amount of flour on the other side. This was my daughter's idea. I don't believe I've seen this anywhere on the internet. Making the butter packet, if you will, by just putting a little bit of flour on the butter and then rolling it out like you do dough. I love the idea. It makes it way more approachable. In the past, I have taken parchment paper, made a little pocket, and then put the butter inside of it so that when it expands, it fills the pocket and makes it the perfect size. This daughter of mine can't be bothered to measure anything too precisely, and she ends up with some really wonderful things, even though nothing about what she does is precise, it still ends up being great. And so I appreciate being able to find these little shortcuts that make certain tasks that would otherwise yield something beautiful and delicious in our kitchen, but make them overwhelming. Finding where those are and eliminating them, I can always count on this child of mine to help me find them and still have pretty great results. The key with making laminated dough is to never let anything get too warm. You don't want the butter to leak out, and to avoid that, you want to keep everything nice and cold. So you roll it out, fold it, put it back in the fridge for a while. Roll it out, fold it, put it back in the fridge for a while. Well, we let this sit overnight and decided to make these into whole grain, freshly milled chocolate croissants. Have our one of these. The other one I didn't order the right hardware, so it'll be going up soon. Now we are trying to decide if we should build this wall out further because this is a little big, or just leave it exposed a little ways. I personally just feel like this is fine. Of course, there'll be some trim here. And then the stair guy, this is another thing we've been talking a ton about. He was trying to decide if we could fur this out a bit to carry the stairs a little further. But then I was afraid that my door reveal when they're fully open would look something like this, which I want it to just about match the other side. There's a little bit more on that side. So, I want it to open to about this on both sides so that when it's open, the reveal is consistent on both sides. So another thing that we're thinking about. Now the stairs, we've been doing a ton of thinking about this. I met with the stair guy the other day, and I feel like I have a little bit more clarity on what's going to happen. So basically, there's so much to think about with stairs. We're gonna have it to where these stairs will be built out, and you'll see, the ends of the stairs, as opposed to sometimes they're all enclosed. I should almost include pictures here, but I'm not sure what pictures I'm allowed to use on the internet. But I've found several examples of the different options. But what we're thinking will be making the most sense is if these are built out, you see the sides for these 3 steps, then these will terminate here with a skirt board, and the railing will be consistently running up like this. And then again, starting here, you'll see the sides of the stairs, and the railing will continue up. So when you're standing down here, you'll see some pretty stairs, a nice newel post. You'll see the railing, and then the railing will continue wrapping here, and you'll see all of that with the stairs overhanging. It's kind of hard to visualize, but I found a lot of pictures online that helped me to do so, because when I see this, I was a little afraid, like, how is this going to look like a beautiful old staircase? And it actually can. Now, I was talking to several friends who are old house type of people who were trying to help me figure out what about stairs makes them look old, what makes them look new. And when you look in a stair catalog, interestingly, the profiles look very similar to today, the ones that were used 100 years ago. A few differences is the height of the railings and then some of the details on the box newels, but even those are very similar today. I did find on Etsy and a few other places where you can get some finials for box newels to make them look a bit older. So more to come on that. I wanted to use salvage, but I'm not really convinced it would make a big enough difference for the time invested, just based on what I'm seeing the differences. So there'll be another box newel here, and then it'll wrap and you'll see the pretty rail going all the way. Now up here you can see the color, creamy, almost yellowish. Now I did a color consultation with Anne from Storied Interiors, and we came up with using this Sherwin-Williams white hyacinth in a lot of different places in the house, but then we're gonna bring in a lot of contrast and color with the trim. So here in this hallway, which it looks really yellow here on camera. I guess it is. No, it's pretty creamy. This will be the color, and it'll carry all the way down, but then we're going to do the casings and any trim work in here, which will be around all the door casings and window casings, and then like here in, wait, is this the same? This is the same color. Wow, it's so much less yellow back here. Anyways, it's gonna be a color. So that way we'll really make that trim work pop. And then I'm thinking kind of the same things in a lot of the rooms. I know some of my kids want dark yellow. They wanted their room dark yellow, and then we decided that since we have these beautiful wood windows, we could paint the trim and the wood in a dark yellow to really make it stand out, and then carry some of that color in here with like a shower curtain or something. And then we're gonna kind of tie together like the blue and the yellow with a really pretty shower curtain that we saw online. So that's the whole picking paint colors for your whole entire house thing is a little bit challenging. And I know that anytime I've done that in the past, like when we moved to our last house, it just needed some attention everywhere. And so we painted the whole thing, and then over the years, repainted everything. Same with our first house. I think I painted every room twice. Ultimately, things will probably change at some point when I get the notion to redo this room or redo that room. So it's challenging choosing that. But you can see how stark white the beadboard is because it comes primed. I really think this makes it a bit more warm, but with the contrast, it definitely looks very yellow, but it has that, I don't know, worn farmhouse look that I'm going for. I think, again, when I'm living in a space, I know I will get different ideas and we'll just see what happens. And then here is getting to be a lot of beadboard in the attic bedrooms. Of course, we have trim going up just all over the place to cover all these different seams and whatnot. And then this attic room is almost done as well with the beadboard. We'll probably just paint it the same color. I was a little afraid that the rug that's currently in my living room, it's a beautiful big vintage rug that I bought for our last house. Thankfully it fit in our in-between house. I was kind of afraid we didn't have any rooms large enough for it. I did some measurements. Turns out it will fit in one of these attic rooms. So one of these rooms is going to be very cozy with a rug that fills up most of the space. And I'm kind of thinking whatever room we feel like we need more like sound proofing in, depending on the use for it, is probably where it will go. But I can just picture it because we're going to be doing very rustic, reclaimed wood floors that are painted with a big rug over top. So I think it's going to be very charming. Unfortunately, as you can see, we were not able to figure out how to use the original hardware on these doors. We wanted to so badly. We could not find the right piece. So they just had to like fur this down and use this modern track. Of course, you'll never see it because the cased opening will come down lower. It just would have been cool to use it, but I looked and looked and ultimately gave up on that dream. So the goal this week is finish painting. The painter comes back Monday. And then flooring begins Tuesday. And then our cabinets arrive February 1st. Don't remember if I showed you guys yet, this medicine cabinet has to get painted to match, but we couldn't put one here because there was pipes running behind it. And so I wanted a medicine cabinet in here. We'll probably still do one that's not recessed, that, you know, you just hang there. But this will give us extra storage because it's not a tiny bathroom, but the way everything has to be kind of cramped together on this side because of the windows, because of our whole porch concept. So small shower, small sink, you know, just a one sink vanity. I have something very cute planned for that coming soon. So this, don't ignore that it's, you know, quite dirty and doesn't match, because it won't. It will match. This we'll have two like places to store things right here. But yeah, I think that's all the updates. I think just last time we didn't have all the beadboard, and we're moving along. There's like an end in sight, which I'm so happy about. Our builder this week also, after finishing the beadboard, one of the trim guys on the crew is building all of the, you know, what do you call those? The things you hang these doors on. Those, that's gonna be a fun little puzzle. Oh, another thing. This is the trim from Kuchen Brothers. And there's just miles of it. But this is gonna be casings for windows. I gotta look back through kind of the plan for everything. I just cannot wait to see it all up. And then this got delivered. This is the flooring for the back porch area. We are gonna match the front porch with painted porch floors. And then the rest of the house will be the heart pine. Forgot, this is the rest of it. I just showed you all the Kuchen Brothers trim in the living room, but this is the rest of it here in our bedroom. We're trying to give it time to dry out a little bit. Here is the heart pine flooring that got delivered from Red Hills Lumber. I am thrilled with how this looks. I think it is just so stunning and beautiful. We'll probably just be doing a coat of polyurethane just to highlight its natural beauty. We can't wait to get it in, coming soon.